All right, everyone. Today we're diving deep into something that could honestly be life-saving.
Oh, this is important stuff.
It really is. We're going to be talking about getting immediate medical treatment, after an accident or if something feels off health-wise.
Yeah, like if you suddenly have some really concerning symptoms.
Exactly. And the sources we're looking at today are super interesting. It's all from this website that's focused on personal injury law.
Okay, so how to navigate healthcare after you've, been in an accident.
Yeah, and how to deal with the whole legal side of things. But honestly, even if you're not thinking about lawsuits or anything, this information is relevant to everyone.
Totally agree. Because ultimately it's about protecting yourself.
And what I found really eye-opening is that seeking medical care right away isn't just about, protecting yourself legally. It's about protecting your health in the long run.
Absolutely. I think that's a point a lot of people miss.
So the sources talk a lot about this golden hour, that first hour after an accident.
The golden hour, yeah.
I've heard that term before, but I don't really know what it means.
So it's basically this critical window of time.
Okay.
Where getting medical help can make the biggest difference for your recovery.
Okay, so why is that initial period after an accident so important?
Well, think about it. Right after something happens, you're probably in shock, right? Adrenaline is pumping.
Right, your body is freaking out.
Yeah, and so your body's natural response to pain might actually be suppressed.
You don't even feel it.
Not as much as you should. And that can be really dangerous because you might not realize how badly you're actually hurt.
You might think you're okay, but...
Exactly. The source gives a couple of examples that are pretty scary. Like you might think you just pulled a muscle in your back.
Oh, I've done that plenty of times.
But it could actually be a spinal injury.
Oh, wow.
Or how about this? You bump your head and you get this annoying headache.
Happens all the time.
And you just brush it off. But guess what? It could be a concussion.
So, wait, you're saying even if I feel okay after an accident, I should still go get checked out?
It's always the best course of action. You just never know.
I have to admit, I'm totally guilty of ignoring stuff like that. I always think, oh, it's just a little pain. It'll be fine.
It's such a natural reaction, though. Our brains want to protect us. And sometimes that means downplaying how serious an injury might be.
So we're basically lying to ourselves.
In a way, yeah. But the problem is that delaying treatment can actually make things way worse in the long run.
Like, how much worse are we talking?
Well, for one thing, those seemingly minor injuries can sometimes be hiding something much more serious.
Okay, so what? Give me an example.
So let's say you slip on some ice and fall.
Been there, done that.
And you just kind of brush it off. Maybe your wrist feels a little sore, but you think it's nothing major.
Yeah, you just walk it off.
Right. But then, a couple of days later, you wake up and the pain is unbearable.
Oh, okay.
Turns out you have a hairline fracture.
Ouch.
And because you didn't get it checked out right away, it could take even longer to heal.
Yeah, and you're in more pain the whole time.
Exactly. And that's why these delayed symptoms can be so tricky.
So it's like a ticking time bomb almost.
The source specifically mentions whiplash, which is super common after car accidents.
Oh, yeah, whiplash.
And you might feel fine at first, but then boom, a day or two later,
the pain hits you.
You got it.
Right.
Neck pain, stiffness, all that fun stuff. And by then, the damage has already started.
Okay, so let's say I realize, all right, I need to see a doctor. How do I know where to go?
Good question.
Because the source talks about emergency rooms, urgent care centers, walk-in clinics. It seems like a lot of options.
It can be overwhelming. So the key is to think about how serious the situation is.
Okay, so if it's really bad.
Yeah, if you're having a life-threatening emergency, heavy bleeding, you can't breathe, or you're passing out.
That's scary stuff.
In those cases, you call 911 immediately, or you get yourself to the ER, ASAP.
Okay, that makes sense. So the ER is for those drop everything and go situations.
Yeah.
Got it. But what about those times when, it's not an emergency, but I still need to see a doctor pretty quickly?
That's where urgent care comes in.
Urgent care, okay.
They're perfect for those non-life-threatening situations that need attention, but it's not like, you're going to die if you don't see someone right this second.
So sprains.
Sprains, cuts that might need stitches, even a possible fracture.
Mm-hmm.
They can handle a lot of different stuff.
And they're probably faster than the ER, right?
Usually, yeah.
Yeah.
Much shorter wait times.
That's good to know. Okay, so what about something even less urgent? I've got a cold or maybe a rash that's bugging me.
For those kinds of minor things, a walk-in clinic is usually your best bet.
Walk-in clinic. Okay, so those are good for the little stuff.
Yeah, they're usually staffed by nurse practitioners or physician assistants, and they can handle basic stuff like, vaccinations, checkups, minor wounds.
Got it. So we've got like a whole spectrum of options depending on how urgent things are.
Exactly. It's good to know what's available before you need it.
That's really helpful. Now, no matter where I end up going, there's one thing the source really emphasizes: documentation.
Documentation is key.
Why is it so important to document everything? Like, I'm already dealing with an injury or feeling sick.
I know it seems like a hassle, right? But trust me, it's worth it. Think of your medical records as like building blocks in your health journey.
Building blocks. Okay.
They provide a clear history of your injury, the treatment you got, how you've been progressing. It's all right there.
Like a health journal almost.
And they're also super important for legal reasons. Imagine you're in a car accident, and later on, you start having chronic pain because of it.
Oof, that's rough.
Those early medical records can actually prove that the accident caused your ongoing health problems.
Oh, wow. So it's like protection for the future.
Exactly. And it's not just about proving things in court. It's about having a complete picture of your health for your own sake.
It's like you're building a case for your own health, even if you don't know if you'll need it.
Exactly. You're taking control of your own health narrative.
So seeking immediate treatment, documenting everything. It's not just about legal stuff.
No, not at all.
It's about being proactive and making sure I'm getting the best care possible.
It's about being your own advocate.
You know, it's funny, when we first started talking about this, I thought it was all going to be about insurance claims and legal stuff.
Yeah, it can seem that way at first.
But now I'm realizing it's about so much more than that. It's about taking care of myself and making smart decisions that protect my health in the long run.
It's about understanding that your health is your most valuable asset,
I like that.
and you need to treat it as such.
Well said. Okay, so speaking of legal stuff, let's talk about insurance for a minute.
All right, insurance.
The source mentions that insurance companies, well, sometimes they try to like minimize claims.
Oh, that doesn't sound good.
It doesn't, does it?
Uh,
Can you explain what that means and why we should care about it?
So, insurance companies, at the end of the day, they're businesses.
Right.
Their main goal is to make money. And so sometimes they try to find ways to pay out as little as possible on claims.
So like, how do they do that?
Well, one tactic is to question how bad your injuries really are.
They don't believe you.
They might argue that your pain isn't as bad as you say, or that it's not actually because of the accident.
So they're trying to say it's your fault, basically.
In a way, yeah. And they might even try to say you don't need certain treatments.
But that should be up to my doctor to decide, right?
You would think so, but unfortunately, insurance companies have a lot of power when it comes to what treatments they'll cover.
So it's like they're controlling my health care.
To some extent, yeah. And that's why having those detailed medical records is so important.
Okay, so those records can protect me.
They can, because they provide proof of what happened, the treatment you got, and how you're doing. It's all right there in black and white.
It's like having a shield against the insurance company.
Exactly. You're protecting yourself.
Wow, I never thought about it like that before. So seeking treatment right away, documenting everything. It's not just about being prepared for a lawsuit or anything.
Right.
It's about making sure I'm in control of my own health and having the evidence to back me up if I need it.
It's about being smart and being prepared.
I like that. This is some seriously good advice. I bet our listeners are already thinking about how this applies to their own lives.
I hope so.
So we've talked about why getting immediate medical care is so important and some of the things to watch out for. But there's still so much more to uncover. We're just getting started.
Buckle up, everyone. We're about to dive even deeper.
You coming back with me after the break?
Absolutely. Wouldn't miss it. There's a lot more to unpack here. We need to talk about some of the long-term consequences of delaying treatment.
Oh, yeah, that's some scary stuff.
It can be, but it's important to understand the risks so we can make the best decisions for our health.
All right, so we're going to take a quick break, but when we come back, we'll be diving deep into those long-term consequences and some of the subtle signs our bodies might be sending us that we shouldn't ignore.
Can't wait. This is going to be good.
See you on the other side?
See you then.
Okay, so we're back and ready to keep talking about all this. You know, being our own health advocates, it's kind of scary, honestly.
I get it. It can feel like you're going up against this huge system.
Yeah, like I need a lawyer and a medical degree just to understand what's going on.
Well, you don't need all that, but knowledge is definitely power in these situations. The more you know about your rights and what you might face, the better.
Okay, so what are some of the key things we should be aware of? The source mentioned something about medical rights after an accident.
Right, yeah. Understanding your rights is super important.
Okay, so like what kind of rights are we talking about?
Well, one of the big ones is the right to choose your own doctor.
Oh, okay, that makes sense.
I mean, obviously, in an emergency, you go wherever the ambulance takes you. But for your ongoing care, you get to decide who you see.
So I'm not stuck with some random doctor I don't even like.
Nope. You have the right to choose someone you trust and feel comfortable with.
That's a relief. It's important to have a good relationship with your doctor, especially when you're dealing with something serious.
Absolutely. Trust and communication are key to getting the best care.
Okay, so what about insurance coverage? How do I even know what's covered and what's not? Insurance policies are so confusing.
I hear you. They can be a nightmare to decipher. But you have the right to review your policy and understand what it covers.
Okay, so I should actually read that thing.
It's a good idea. Most plans cover necessary medical treatment after an accident, but the details can be tricky.
Like, what exactly is necessary treatment?
Right. That's where things can get fuzzy. Don't be afraid to call your insurance company and ask questions.
So I can just call them up and be like, hey, what does this mean?
Exactly. They should be able to explain your benefits to you.
Okay, good to know. So we've got the right to choose our doctor, the right to understand our insurance, and I'm guessing we also have the right to see our own medical records.
You got it. Those records are yours.
That makes sense. What else should we keep in mind?
Well, the source also talks about getting specialized medical evaluations when you need them.
Okay, so like seeing a specialist.
Exactly. Like if you've had a head injury, you might need to see a neurologist.
Makes sense. Head injuries are scary.
They can be. And if you have a musculoskeletal injury, like a problem with your bones or muscles, you might need to see an orthopedist.
So it's all about getting the right expert for the specific problem.
Right. Not all doctors are the same, and some injuries need specialized knowledge.
The source even mentions like MRIs and nerve conduction studies.
Ah, yeah, the fancy stuff.
Those sound intense. What are those for?
Well, they can help doctors get a really detailed look at what's going on inside your body, like how severe an injury is or if there's any nerve damage.
Wow, technology is amazing. It's like they can see right through you.
Pretty much. And that brings us to another really important part of this: rehab and recovery planning.
Okay, so not just treating the injury, but actually getting better afterwards.
Exactly. It's a whole journey.
A marathon, not a sprint.
Exactly. And a good recovery plan might include physical therapy, occupational therapy, pain management.
So a lot of different things could be involved.
It depends on the injury, of course.
Yeah.
But the goal is to help you get back to your normal life, or as close to it as possible.
That's reassuring. Okay, so we've talked about understanding our rights, choosing the right doctors, getting specialized help if we need it, and focusing on recovery.
It's a lot to take in.
It is.
Yeah.
It's all super important. Now, I want to go back to those insurance companies for a minute.
Uh-oh, the insurance companies again.
Yeah, we can't forget about them. You mentioned earlier that they might try to downplay my injuries or say I don't need certain treatments.
Right. Unfortunately, that happens.
So what else should I be watching out for?
Well, they might try to say that your current pain isn't actually from the accident.
But what if it is? How can they prove it's not?
That's where things get tricky. They might try to dig up your medical history and find something they can blame it on.
So, like, if I had back pain 5 years ago, they'll say my current back pain is from that.
They might try, yeah.
No.
It's all about trying to avoid paying out on the claim.
So it's like they're playing detective with my health.
In a way, yeah. And another thing they might do is try to say you've reached maximum medical improvement.
Maximum medical what now?
It basically means they think you've gotten as good as you're going to get, and they don't want to pay for any more treatment.
But what if I'm still in pain?
That's the problem.
Ah.
They might not care. Their goal is to save money.
This is so frustrating. It feels like my health is just a game to them.
I know, it can feel that way. And that's why those detailed medical records are so crucial.
They're like my weapon against the insurance company.
Exactly. They prove what you've been through, the treatment you've received, how you're actually doing. It's all right there.
So if they try to deny my claim or say I don't need something, I can be like, look at this.
Exactly. You have evidence to back up your claims.
Wow, this whole thing is like a chess match. You got to be thinking several steps ahead.
It can feel that way. But don't worry, you don't have to play this game alone. There are people who can help.
Like who?
Well, there are attorneys who specialize in personal injury cases.
Okay, lawyers.
And there are also patient advocates who can help you navigate the healthcare system and deal with insurance companies.
Patient advocates? I've never heard of that.
They're basically like your personal health champions. They know the ins and outs of the system and can fight for you to get the care you need.
So it's like having a professional on my side.
Exactly. They can be a huge help, especially if you're dealing with a complicated situation.
This is all so helpful. I'm learning so much.
Me too. It's amazing how much goes on behind the scenes in healthcare.
Right. Okay, so we've covered a lot of ground here. Understanding our rights, insurance tactics, getting the right help.
It's a lot to remember.
But it's all super important. Now, I want to talk about something the source keeps coming back to, long-term documentation.
Ah, yes. Keeping track of everything, even after you've seemingly recovered.
Why is that so important? I mean, once it's over, right?
Not necessarily. Those medical records are more than just a snapshot in time.
What do you mean?
They're like a story of your health journey.
Okay, I like that, my health story.
And that story can be important in the future. Like, if you have new health problems down the road, your past records can help doctors figure out what's going on.
So they can see patterns or connections.
Exactly. It's like having a map of your health history.
Wow, I never thought about it like that before. My medical records are like my health legacy.
I love that. And it's a legacy you should protect and cherish.
I will, I promise. Okay, so we've talked about why immediate medical care is so crucial, how to navigate the system, and why documentation is key. Anything else we should cover?
I think we've hit all the major points.
This has been incredibly insightful, and I bet our listeners are already making changes in their own lives because of it.
I hope so.
Yeah.
It's all about empowering people to take control of their health.
Well said. So now that we've laid the groundwork, we're going to shift gears a bit in the last part of our deep dive.
Oh, this is where it gets really interesting.
We're going to talk about some even more subtle signs that our bodies might be sending us, those little whispers we often ignore.
Those can be tricky.
They can, but they can also be warning signs of something more serious brewing beneath the surface.
We're going to teach you how to listen to your body and recognize those signs before they become major problems.
And we're going to delve even deeper into the profound long-term consequences of delaying medical care. It's powerful stuff.
It really is. This is the kind of information that can change lives.
So don't go anywhere. We'll be right back after a quick break to wrap up our deep dive into the world of immediate medical treatment.
Can't wait to finish this conversation. It's been enlightening.
Me too. See you on the other side.
See you there.
Okay, so we're back. And I gotta say, this whole conversation has really got me thinking about how I treat my own body.
Yeah, it's definitely eye-opening.
It is. Like, we've been talking about all these serious injuries and emergencies, but what about those little aches and pains we all get?
Those sneaky little things.
Right. Like sometimes my back gets stiff or my knee hurts, but I usually just ignore it.
Yeah, I think we all do that to some extent.
But the source we're looking at today makes a really good point about those subtle signals our bodies send us.
Especially when it comes to, like, musculoskeletal stuff.
Yeah, muscles, bones, joints, all that.
Those nagging aches and stiffness, we often just brush them off as part of getting older.
Right, like, oh, I'm just getting old, that's all.
But the source says that persistent stiffness, or if it comes on really suddenly, it could actually be a sign of something more serious.
So I shouldn't just ignore it.
It's always best to err on the side of caution. Like, if the stiffness is really bad or it's interfering with your daily life.
Okay, that makes sense. And they give some examples of when stiffness might be a red flag. Like if you also have a fever or a rash.
Yeah, or if you're losing weight without trying.
That's definitely a sign something's wrong.
And if you have joint stiffness along with swelling or redness.
Oh, that sounds bad.
Could be an infection or inflammation. And you'll want to get that checked out ASAP.
So it's like our bodies are trying to tell us something, but we're not always listening.
We're so good at tuning out those subtle messages.
And sometimes those little whispers can turn into screams if we ignore them long enough.
That's a great way to put it.
So seeking medical care isn't just about those big dramatic events.
Right, not just the car accidents and heart attacks.
It's about being aware of those subtle changes in our bodies and taking action before they become major problems.
Being proactive, listening to our bodies, all that good stuff.
Exactly. And that brings us back to something we've been talking about throughout this whole deep dive.
The consequences of waiting too long to get help.
Yeah, the source is really serious about this. They say delaying medical care can have some pretty big consequences.
Even for things that seem minor at first.
Like how big are we talking?
Well, I remember reading this story about a woman who ignored a small cut on her leg.
Oh, no.
She thought it was just a scratch, nothing to worry about, but it got infected.
Infected, yikes.
And by the time she finally went to the doctor, it was too late. She ended up losing her leg.
That's awful. It's hard to believe something so small could lead to something so drastic.
I know. It's a powerful reminder that even seemingly minor things can spiral out of control if we don't take care of them.
And it's not just the physical consequences
Right.
we have to worry about, right?
Right. There's the financial side of things, too.
Oh, yeah, medical bills can be a nightmare.
They can. And what might have been a simple, inexpensive treatment early on can turn into something way more expensive if you wait too long.
So it's like that saying, an ounce of prevention is worth a pound of cure.
Exactly. It's always better to catch things early, both for your health and your wallet.
Okay, so we've got the physical consequences, the financial consequences. What else am I forgetting?
The legal implications.
Ah, right, those medical records we keep talking about.
Those records can be crucial if you're ever involved in a legal case, especially if you're trying to prove that your injuries are from a specific accident or incident.
So if I wait too long to see a doctor, it's harder to prove my case.
It can be. It creates doubt and makes it look like maybe your injuries weren't that serious to begin with.
And that could hurt my chances of getting a fair settlement or whatever.
Exactly. So from a legal standpoint, seeking immediate medical care is always the smartest move.
Okay, so we've covered the why, the where, the when of getting medical help. Now let's talk about the how, specifically documentation.
The all-important documentation.
I'm starting to realize how crucial this is. It's not just about keeping track of appointments or test results.
It's about having a complete picture of your health journey.
Yeah, like a story, like you said before.
And that story can be powerful. It can help you advocate for yourself, challenge medical bills, even inform future healthcare decisions.
So those medical records are like my health shield.
That's a great way to think about it. They protect you and empower you to take control of your health.
Wow, I'm seeing this whole thing in a whole new light now.
I'm glad to hear that. It's all about shifting our mindset and realizing that we have the right and the responsibility to be active participants in our own healthcare.
It's about being informed, being proactive, and being prepared.
Exactly. And with the knowledge we've gained today, I think we're all better equipped to do just that.
This has been an incredible deep dive, and I hope our listeners are feeling empowered to take charge of their health.
That's the goal. We want people to feel confident and informed when it comes to making decisions about their well-being.
So as we wrap up, let's leave everyone with this. Don't be afraid to ask questions, to seek second opinions, to stand up for yourselves.
Your health is your most valuable asset, and you deserve the best possible care.
And remember, even those little aches and pains, those subtle whispers from your body, they might be trying to tell you something important.
Listen to your body, trust your instincts, and don't hesitate to seek help when you need it.
Well said. Thank you so much for joining us on this journey into the world of immediate medical treatment. We hope you've learned something valuable today.
It's been a pleasure. Knowledge is power, and we hope we've empowered you to take control of your health.
Until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and most of all, stay well.
Call now 714-442-9741. Thank you.